So it's the 29th of January 2019. My name is Neville Douglas. My company is called Ashanti Dutch Property Letting, and at the moment I work with or consult with charities in regards to housing vulnerable people on favourable terms, and as a result of that I'm starting to find that as the business grows we're getting more diverse properties. I work with other landlords as well, and we have quite a range of properties that are being used, and as a result of that we're getting certain properties with certain issues. Now what I'm going to look at in the next few weeks is the cause of dampness, and this is going to be a short video, so I'm going to go through as much as I can very quickly and as succinctly as I can. So we're going to be looking at causes of dampness in buildings, so sources of water causing damp via solid floors, that's quite an interesting one. Rising damp, I know some people say it doesn't exist. Faulty rainwater goods, did that today. Leaking plumbing, haven't looked at that yet, but you know there are bits and bobs. Water from the air, which is quite interesting. So we're looking at condensation. Condensation and flues. I think I've covered that in one of my earlier videos to do with a chimney breast and venting the chimney breast, but I'll have to revisit that one. Dampness under suspended floors due to very high humidity. I was looking at that today, so that's going to be one of the videos, or I think it's going to follow probably. And we're going to be looking at the equipment that I use to diagnose, my opinions of what I think, also the charts that I use as well, and also some of these suggestions that I've put in place in regards to remedial action that needs to be done. Now I can't share any personal details, and disclaimer, which is going to go on the back of all of the stuff that I do, is that if you look at this stuff and you use it, you're responsible for this. Bring in an independent source to look at any issues that you've got. The videos are here for guidance. I'm not selling anything, I'm not endorsing any other products, and so it's just out here to help, and hopefully it will help you to help your tenants, or if you've got your own property, this will help you to be able to solve any issues that you've got with any properties that you may have. But then again, there are still some people out there that believe rising damp or penetrating damp. They might believe in that, but they don't believe rising damp is out there. Plenty of textbooks, so I can go through those, give you all the British standards if you want as well. If anybody's watching this and they're going to use any swear words, I've probably heard them all. Try and be creative if you do use them. And apart from that, I'm going to get on with the content. So thank you very much for your time. Remember, get it checked out if you're not sure. This is going to be quite a short video. It's in regards to doing a checkout. My client is no longer has use for this particular building, and so it's going to be handed back over to the landlord. And so what I'm here to do is to do a final checkout inventory, and just to do some final checks really before the property is handed over. As we look around, you'll see that the apartment has been initially, it was all magnolia. The tenants have painted and papered as well, and there are a few bits of furniture which are going to be removed, and also there are bits of furniture here. Sorry about the darkness. The tenant has taken the light bulbs, which is what they tend to do, but it's really to highlight the remedial works which are going to be done. So you can see there that the wall is darker because they've painted what they call the feature wall, and also if we come out here to where the porch is, you can see that they've also done the same in here. They've painted the walls a sort of I don't know what you would call it, aubergine colour. So that all has to be returned back to the standard magnolia. You can just see it brightens the place up. The newer colour schemes nowadays tend to be more of a grey, but I think you can see the obvious difference in that room just by the paint which has been applied to the wall. You've got a lighter colour there, so it gives it a bit of a clearer aspect, I suppose you could say. all in all, they've been in here for 3 years. The carpet's still in good condition. Also, there's a couple of chaps in the back room just painting the walls back to the magnolia colour. I won't get them in the shot, but as you can see there, the walls are being repainted, so they're going to be magnolianised again. Same with the bathroom there. You can see that that's a bright blue, which is a fantastic colour, and I just don't know why people choose these schemes, but there you go. So I'm going to cover 3 aspects with this particular short video. We're going to look at inventory. We're going to look at what else is there? I'm going to do a relative humidity report as well. There was a claim that this property was quite damp, and there were damp problems, and also I've got another short document that I'm going to look at. So the important thing is to have an inventory done, and this is what I standardise with all of my properties, is an inventory done, and this covers everything to do with the property. Obviously I've printed this out in black and white, but it would be in colour, and it covers all the aspects of what needs to be done on the property when it was first initiated. Also, I'm going to do a relative humidity scan. There were claims that the property did suffer from damp. I think it was down to tenant use, to be honest, and I'll prove that in a bit. Also, I've got another sheet here which is a short form inventory, so I can pick up on specific issues with the property. The tools I've got a hygrometer, which is that one there, which will give us the relative humidity, and also I've got a thermal camera here that I'm using as well. I've been around with the thermal camera. I'm not going to show that because there's no issues, and also the property needs to be at least 15 degrees warmer than the outside air, which is not. I'm just going to take a quick relative humidity reading now anyway. I've got a custom setup with this, so right, if we can see that okay, I don't know if you can. Let me just see if I can move around so that I've got the light, because half the bulbs are missing. So if you look at that reading there, you will see that it is, you've got 12, you can't see that, 12, 4 and 55. So it's 55% relative humidity in the room as it is now. I don't know if you can see that better. And then you've got other issues there. So I'm going to stop it at this point. Hi, so I'm just jumping in before you see the next section where we empty the what they call now dehumidifiers, albeit the ones which contain the silica crystals. Now, we'd gone into the property before and I use this on the floor, and it is called, I should know all the names of all this stuff, but there you go. It's a protometer, yeah, so it's a moisture meter measuring system. As you can see the profile there on the back, it's got a bump on it, so that will detect water up to 2 inches below the surface. So I placed this on the carpet, went around the building, took the relative humidity again, that was okay. So I knew that there was no damp in the building. A new concrete slab had been put into the building, and also the property had been previously refurbished to building regulations. The council had been involved. The tenant was still complaining that there was high levels of moisture in there. Now, there was a leak several months ago, and the landlord had a dehumidifier in the property to dry the property out. The tenant was refusing to open the windows because he said it was cold, even though it was in the summer, and you're talking about last summer. And so they were still complaining about the what they said was damp issues. It turned out to be high humidity levels, high levels of condensation, and since the tenants moved out, the property's been empty for 2 weeks now, and you'll see the relative humidity reading that I took earlier on, that it was back to normal levels. So there was no explanation of why there was no damp issues at this point, apart from the fact that the tenant had gone, they weren't cooking in there, they weren't drying clothes on the radiators. I witnessed that when I went in once. These properties are so highly sealed nowadays, they don't breathe, so it's hard to get across to tenants that they need to open the windows when they see that, okay, they're wasting heat. They're quite reluctant to do it, but they need to be educated so that they know that not only are they keeping in the heat, but they're trapping a lot of moisture. So, yep, protometer, I used one of these, and then I've gone over to the Hygromaster 2 as well to get the readings. Okay, so we just come into the kitchen, just having a quick look around. This is all being redecorated. Obviously we took the relative humidity readings, and I found these in the property. So these are what we used because they said there was a dampness problem in the property, but I think if you look how much water's in this one, yeah, that one's 3/4 full. This one here, there's another device, that's completely full. So these need to be emptied on a regular basis, so as to absorb the moisture again, and the crystals need to be replaced. And this is a third one. So you can see that's all water that comes from cooking, drying clothes in the house, and also from human inhabitation as well. We breathe out about 1 litre every 8 hours, so it's why it is important to have the property adequately ventilated. And so there's a vent in the kitchen. I can't see any evidence apart from that one that something was in the kitchen, and that's it really. So this is going to be handed back over to the landlord once everything is decorated. So I'll come back for a final visit once all of the cupboards have been cleaned and all the paintwork, sorry I'm moving around too quick, all the paintwork has been washed down. So to be continued, so to speak.